Hi, my name is Matthew Berrigan. I live in the northeast of Brazil. I've been living here for 11 years, from Madison, Wisconsin originally, and I just thought I'd do a quick little video about native bees, the native bees that I work with here in the northeast of Brazil. These bees that I work with at present are one species called Uruçu in the native language. Actually, I think it's a Tupi Guarani Indian name, Uruçu. Their Latin name is Melipona scutellaris, and they're a social bee that produces very desired honey. It's very high water content, very sweet. They consider it to be a medicinal honey, and it's quite available in the marketplace here, although the price it carries is probably 5 times what standard European Apis mellifera bees, the honey that they produce. The prices are very high here. Obviously there's different storage requirements, there's all kinds of different things that are very different about how bees here, these bees produce their honey. But it is becoming quite a commercial venture for especially small farmers here, because they can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 800 boxes of these bees, and there seems to always be a marketplace for their honey and a growing interest in their propolis and other such things. So what I'm going to do today here is just sort of talk about this box right here. Of these 2 boxes, this is my healthier box, and why I say it's healthier is because there's always a lot more activity. I see these guys bringing in lots of pollen every day. I also artificially feed to add strength, because I'm not a honey producer, I'm more of a bee producer. I'm trying to build boxes of bees so that I can divide them, create more boxes, divide them, create more boxes, and ultimately my goal is to try to expand the number of bees that I have here. My principal interest is also in native bees, because it's sort of sort of an ecological experience that I have here. I'm trying to get to know flora and fauna of what is found in the northeast of Brazil here. The native bees, there's quite a few different species of native bees. Many of them, not all of them, are social bees, but they also focus on particular parts of the flora in the region. So they're not used as a means to pollination of commercial crops here, as a sort of a money-making venture. But they really only produce the honey, but we try to find things that are useful for them to feed on. So, which is really interesting, because I live right at a dividing line between the Atlantic rainforest, what was once the Atlantic rainforest, also called the Agreste, into the semi-arid parts of Brazil. And these bees sort of live on that line, up and down the coast. They live in all kinds of different places, but they have to survive in some pretty diverse conditions here of semi-arid. So let's just stop with that. I'm going to pull down this box, and then I'm going to sort of take it apart and show you what's inside. So for just a quick once around, showing you the main entrance, which you can see that there's a guardian posted there. They always have a guardian. The entryway behind this tube turns to the left. There's a small tunnel. They use the small tunnel to defend against invaders. These are stingless bees. That doesn't mean that they don't bite. They do bite. So their main defense is to basically anybody that tries to get in there, any opposing bee, foreign bee tries to get in there, or other bug, they basically grab it, drag it back out, and tussle on the ground to make sure that they don't get in. They have quite a war. This is the bottom. On the bottom, the very bottom part is the entryway, and it's where you'll find the beginnings of the brood. This is a brood box, and this is where the honey pots are supposed to be kept, although oftentimes you'll find them on the top of the brood as the brood expands upward. In this particular box, this is a box called an INPA, which stands for Instituto Nacional de Pesquisas da Amazônia, National Research Institute of the Amazon. Developed this box because it's supposedly a lot easier to divide. Hopefully later I'm going to do another video which shows how a division goes. One other quick part of this box here that's interesting is the feeder is simply some PVC tubes in a jar with some holes filled with the sugar water, which is basically a one-to-one mixture of crystal sugar with water, which is what they seem to prefer. The bees just come up underneath here and they sip away at the few small holes that they have. Every time I change this water, I have to take their geopropolis and scrape it off of there, because for some reason they like to plug it up to sort of control the amount that flows down. It doesn't flow, it just sits there. What do you call the surface tension holds the water in the bottle. It sits on there and they suck it up. So now I'm going to remount the camera and then I'll take this box apart a little bit. Okay, I think we're positioned well. Normally the folks here don't use a strap. I like a strap just because these things can sort of slide out from each other. Generally speaking, between the different layers we put a little layer of clear plastic, and that facilitates taking things apart, because otherwise the bees put a lot of geopropolis in there to try to close the holes, stick things together, so they try to close it up, and it's pretty hard to open. Well, let's see here. I haven't opened this box for probably 2 months, so it'll be a big surprise for me. This is being difficult. Wow. There's a spider running out of there. Whoa! We got a healthy box. Just busted a couple of their pods. You can see that these guys don't keep their honey in the standard APIS configurations for how the bees keep honey. They make pots. They're called pot bees because they create a pot, fill it with either honey, or in the case of this pot here, pollen. And I think I'll try to zoom in on that pot just to show you that it's filled with pollen versus the other ones which are filled with honey. 1 second, see if I can do that. Okay, there you go. You can see that in, oops, my focus seems to be a bit crazy, but that's okay. Pollen and honey. And there's a bee swimming in his honey there. Typically for collection, then they use some type of a syringe or something to try to suck the honey out of each and every one of these pots. So collection is kind of manual. You have to sort of go through pot by pot and pull all these things together. I didn't show you also here, there's the transport between the different layers of the box. Up here you can see holes where the bees are moving up and down. And the same is true on this side here. There's probably 4 holes per side where the bees can move up and down. Let's see if I can replace this and come back to the next layer here. Let's see how we're doing. I wish I had a support to set these down, but I don't. I could use a stronger tool here for this. Weak knife. Okay, let's see what we got here. Brood. Here we have very solid brood. Over here I can't set that down because it's got a lot of stuff. So like I said, they put their pots, sorry about the strap, they put their pots there, but there's their brood that, oh, and there's the queen right on top. There she is. Look at that. Beautiful. 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 Okay, let's see what we got here. Brood. queen sort of making her rounds, trying to figure out what's going on here. A lot of pollen. This hive has a lot of pollen. So these guys are doing really healthy. Oh, look at that. I see over in the upper corner, upper right corner, we've got a failure of the wood, and they seem to be using that to their advantage. I wonder how long that will hold. So more on this stuff a little bit later, but this is the essential. This is the part that I would divide out if I were to create a new hive. I would lift out this section, add a new top and a new bottom box to it, and hopefully what's underneath here would be sufficient to sustain this box. Let's take a look at that to see what's down below that. And I also happen to notice that I don't have plastic between these layers. I bought this box actually populated already. I have a guy who got me started on this, and he wanted to pay me back for some of the things that I did, and he sent me these two latest boxes. Okay, so here we go to the part. Oh yeah, look at that, more brood. Look at that, filled with brood, more honey pots, more honey, or more pollen, I'm sorry. And actually in the front, oh look at that, I'm dripping honey all over. Let's drip, I'll try to drip back into the nest. In the front here where the entrance is, you might be able to see there is a tube that takes the entryway probably about 5 inches down before it opens up into the nest. Alright, let's see if we can put these guys. Oh man, there's brood hanging on the top here too. There's a lot of brood here. There is one other part here that's sort of like a subfloor underneath here, and typically, oh, let's see if we can get in there. Typically, it's sort of like the bathroom. It's like where all the where they take all their garbage. Wait a second, I want to get some of this honey. It is sweet. Now we're going to go down to the basement. Let's see what we got here. Sorry about the back of my head. Wow, it's solid. Let go. Let go. Won't let go. I'm crushing bees. There's the basement. And it's got some honey that's drained down there. We'll pull it back shortly. Get out of here. Alright, let's see if we can go down without crushing anybody. That was really glued on there. So hopefully the video is positioned so that you can see all that, and I guess that's all I really wanted to show you for now, is just how a Uruçu bee box, INPA box, is set up.